Those who forget the past are doomed to repeat it, or something like that. I don't know. You get the quote. There's a reason why we pay attention to history. There's a reason why we have museums. There's a reason why we respect art and history. And even though times change, we still want to make sure we understand the context around what happened so that we can progress and make the world a better place. Unfortunately, there's an anti-intellectual movement among the regressive left. Not all leftists. In fact, I should clarify whenever I talk about this. Most of the left, like Democrats, not paying attention. The moderates, the center, they're gone, right? They're chilling. I don't know what they're doing. My friend, she's like painting a wall right now. For real, like Bernie voter. She doesn't even know what's going on with any of this. I asked my one buddy, do you hear about Kavanaugh? And he goes, who? They don't know. So what ends up happening is, with so few moderate people to talk about it, you get the crazies on crazies on the left and the right. But of course, social media bans all the right, so the crazies on the left are left to do their thing. And of course, bullying works. So now we're seeing this. High school may erase mural of George Washington because it traumatizes students. Yes, George Washington, founding father, great general. Apparently, I don't know, I read once that he wasn't that good of a general, but the point is, we revere George Washington not for his bad traits, for his good traits. We look to the past, even to the Bible, and we say, that stuff is all bad, but this stuff is good. And we keep the parts that make the most sense. Over time, we slowly remove the bad and increase the good, and that makes things better and better and better. But now we have this movement where they want to get rid of art, they want to tear down statues, and when I mean tear down statues, I mean like destroy them outright. One guy tried planting a bomb. Because I'll say this. I have no problem if a community comes together and votes and says, we would like to remove this statue. I think there's a compromise there. Because whenever I hear about people saying the Confederate statue shouldn't be removed, I say, well, hold on. It should be put in a museum. It should. And we can centralize our understanding of what happened, where the statues came from. And we should keep a plaque explaining, like, when you go, I don't know if you've ever gone to like a historical location. They'll actually have like plaques where it says like X happened here. There's a place like in the Philly area on the river where there's like cannons and there's like plaques explaining it. I think that's great. If people in the community want something to move, like, well, yeah, the community can vote on it. That's not what we're seeing. We see activists throw rope over the statues and then pull them down and destroy them outright. No. Here's the thing. Sure, okay, I get it. But George Washington is a little bit different. Right? When we talk about the Confederacy, we're talking about the Civil War and trying times. I still think we want to preserve history and make sure we understand the good and the bad. It's also important to recognize the good and the bad of George Washington, like any other leader. A Northern California public school district may remove a mural of George Washington from the halls of George Washington High School due to concerns that it's offensive and demeaning to Native Americans and African Americans. The controversy comes after a working group determined that the mural, made up of several panels, traumatizes students and community members. So listen, it's one thing if a community comes together and says we want to change something. It's another thing when they like, wow, how pathetic are people becoming? That's worrisome. But advocates for keeping the 83-year-old mural say that removing it ignores the intent of the artist and represents an attempt to erase history. In 1936, Victor Arnautoff painted the 13 panels that make up the Life of Washington mural at the San Francisco Unified School District campus. Arnautoff was a prominent Russian-American painter who created the murals as part of a Works Progress Administration project undertaken during the New Deal. But a working group that met in recent months determined the artwork is highly problematic and should be archived after being removed from the walls of the school. Well, okay, listen, I really don't like the idea of them being like, we're traumatized, we should remove it. But I actually think, and hear me out, removing this from the wall in a safe and secure manner and archiving it, putting it in a museum maybe, protecting it, I actually kind of like that idea. There's an important thing that should come up with statues and art as well, is that it erodes and degrades over time. And we can actually come to an agreement, I think, if we say, when it comes to statues, art, or whatever, let's protect it, preserve it indefinitely in a museum with context, put something in its place that represents something about the history to keep the memory alive, and then we keep it preserved. So that's not, I don't disagree with that necessarily, but what I really don't like is the excuses they have. No, let's have a rational, reasonable adult conversation. And I will point out, like, there's going to be a lot of people, like, the framing of it It's a mural of George Washington. Well, I could really say high school may erase mural of dead Native American with soldiers walking past his corpse, right? So, yeah, I can understand why people might be upset with these things. And listen, you guys know, I'm rather centrist on a lot of these things. I think it's really bad when people destroy, vandalize, and tear down symbols of history. It is disrespectful, and it's dangerous because we don't want to repeat the past or forget what happened. And then I also think it's silly that people are like, 100% must stay no matter what. You know, I think there's a reasonable solution. Like, over time, when it comes to any kind of history or whatever, people will want to put them or move them or redesign. Eminent domain is an issue. We may have to build something here. So preserving something, I think, is actually a way better thing to do. It may come about that some 10-year-old kid comes and vandalizes this. Let's protect and preserve it, right? I think that's a good idea. It doesn't have to, okay, sure, you guys are traumatized. Well, that's silly. But if you don't want it here, how about we get to protect it in a historical location, in a museum, right? I don't know. Maybe you tell me what you think. You comment and we'll read on. Let's see. They say that he painted them 13 panels to make up the Life of Washington mural at the San Francisco Unified School District campus. Arnatov was a prominent Russian painter. We read that it was a project during the New Deal. SFUSD convened a reflection and action working group that was comprised of members of the local Native American community, students, school representatives, district representatives, local artists, and historians. Laura Dudnick, a spokeswoman for the district, wrote in an email to the College Fix. The group held 4 public meetings between December 2018 and February 2019, during which it received input on what to do with the mural. The group's recommendation? Archive the mural to protect the experience of students. That's the wrong reason to do it, if you ask me. Protect the experience of students? No, the students need to absolutely know what this is and recognize it, and we can tell them straight up, guys, I understand this is like a really bad thing. And that's the important thing. George Washington did a bunch of really awesome stuff. Really great, honorable stuff. He also did some bad stuff like any other human. Let's cherish the good, denounce the bad, and explain to you what is good and bad about this. But that's why I lean towards we should archive and protect this. I think their reasoning is wrong, but that doesn't mean we can't come to a compromise that protects history. At its conclusion, the group voted and the majority recommended that the Life of Washington mural be archived and removed because the mural does not represent SFUSD values. Dudnick's email to the Fix continued, adding that the group considered the legacy of the artist when deciding whether or not to keep the mural up. However, concern for the experience of students won out. 2 of the 13 panels are coming under fire for containing objectionable images, according to the Richmond District blog. One of the images involves Washington gesturing toward a group of explorers who are walking by the body of a presumably deceased Native American depicted in the color gray. Another depicts Washington next to several slaves performing various types of manual labor. A YouTube video of the murals showed. But here's the thing. That all happened. I don't want anyone to forget that. I want them to know what these people did, right? It's the craziest thing. It's the free speech argument. I want the bad people to tell me what they think so I can avoid them. I want to see history and know why it was bad and what was bad about it. But these kids, this is, I think this is dangerous. This fear like, oh, but it's disrespectful and traumatizing, so remove it. No. We remove it to protect it and preserve the history behind it. That's at least my opinion. And when I mean by remove, I mean to actually protect it in a museum. The Richmond District blog reports the group's conclusion. We come to these recommendations due to the continued historical and current trauma of Native Americans and African Americans, with these depictions in the mural that glorifies slavery, genocide, colonization, manifest destiny, white supremacy, oppression, etc. This mural doesn't represent SFUSD values of social justice, diversity, united. Yeah, we get it. But Fergus M. Bordewich, a historian, wrote in the Wall Street Journal that the intention of the artist should be taken into account when considering the intent of the images. The mural's painter, Victor Arnatov, was a protege of Diego Rivera and a communist. He included those images not to glorify Washington, but rather to provoke a nuanced evaluation of his legacy. Bravo! Bravo! Exactly. The scene with the dead Native American, for instance, calls attention to the price of Manifest Destiny. Arnatov's murals also portray the slaves with humanity and the several live Indians as vigorous and manly. You see? But they're traumatized by it. Oh, heavens. Bordewich, in a phone interview with The Fix, said, there is a deeply wrong-headed habit to project today's norms, values, ideals backwards in time to find our ancestors inevitably falling short. Of course, they always will. We made the world a better place. They succeeded. Today, We are working towards making it a better place, and tomorrow, hopefully, we will have succeeded. It doesn't mean, in my opinion, that we need to put all of this on display publicly in front of everybody. Maybe, some of it should be, in fact. But I think museums hold an important, they do something very important to protect it in the long run. He says, it betrays a very troubling intolerance of art. It betrays a very troubling intolerance of art and the ambiguity of art and the aspirations of art. They're also trying to, they're interpreting what he was intending to convey, which shows they're actually losing sight for the history of the mural, which we should probably have some context by the mural to explain what it is. The superintendent and staff are now reviewing the recommendation and considering the best course of action. At this time, there hasn't been any recommendation put forth before the SF Board of Education on the matter. Sure. It's not the first time murals have come under fire. In the late 60s, protesters called for its removal, which the school responded to by installing another set of murals titled Multi-Ethnic Heritage, Black, Asian, Native, Latin American. These murals display more positive images of ethnic minorities, the Richmond District blog reported. We get it. Bordowich added that the mural is not a celebration of genocide, it's a challenge to westward expansion. It's incredibly stupid if we try to erase history. It still happened, and you should argue about its meanings. I agree. I'm not, this wasn't the most, egregious thing I read. I thought it was interesting and worth talking about because my opinion on, taking things down is more nuanced. A lot of people on the left say destroy it. You have people on the right saying leave it. No, I think there's an important thing we need to do. When you recognize these leftists want to outright destroy it, what happens if you say, no, we're going to keep it up? Well, some dude's going to show up with a mask and a sledgehammer. A bunch of dudes are going to show up with rope and tear it down. And for whatever reason, the police don't stop it. Or some dude in Texas plants a bomb. No, I think what we do is we say, okay, all right, don't destroy it. We're going to preserve it. We're going to preserve it somewhere where everyone can come to see it in a place taxpayer funded. I'm such a lefty, aren't I? Anyway, I got one more video coming up in a few minutes. I will see you shortly.